When you think of King David, what comes to your mind? Is it, that young shepherd boy defeating the great giant Goliath? Or maybe the fearless warrior that went to war for God? Or do you think of the mighty king of Israel? Perhaps you think of the man who his heart was after God's own heart. Most people remember David for his victories. But today I want us to look beyond the battlefield and beyond the throne. I want us to meet that man who laughed and cried, who sinned, who repented, and who loved God with all his heart. Because when we look closely at David's life, we will discover something that many people overlook. Who was David? Well, David was chosen by God while he was still a young shepherd boy. He trusted the Lord enough to stand before Goliath when every trained soldier was afraid of that giant. He became one of Israel's greatest kings and is believed to have written most of the Psalms that still continues to comfort millions of people today. Yet David was not a perfect man. He fell into some very grievous sins. One of which comes to mind is with Bathsheba, remember her? And because of his choices, much sorrow followed in his life. But David's story is not remembered because he never sinned. It is remembered because when he fell, he humbled himself before God. And he had genuine repentance. And you can read his beautiful prayer of repentance in Psalms 51. It will be such a blessing to you. It's too long for me to read it for you during this video, but I really seriously recommend reading it, Psalms 51. But the David that many people never noticed, I'll tell you who he is. He's the David that I want us to think about today. If you read the Psalms carefully, you'll discover that David wasn't always standing on mountaintops of victory. There were times when his heart was really overwhelmed. In Psalm 6, David says he is weary with his groaning and that his tears filled the night. And then we move on to Psalms 13, and he cries out, "How long, O Lord, wilt thou forget me forever?" In Psalms 55, he speaks of the deep pain of being betrayed by someone very close to him. These are not the words of a man pretending that everything is fine. These are the prayers of someone bringing every burden to God. David teaches us that faith doesn't mean that we'll never have struggles. Faith means that we know where to take our struggles. But let me tell you David's secret. He never allowed his sorrow to separate him from God. Instead of running away from the Lord, he ran towards him. He prayed, he confessed, he worshiped. He remembered God's faithfulness. One of his greatest declarations is found in Psalms 23. "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." What I want you to notice here is that David says he walks through the valley. The valley was never meant to be his home because God was walking with him. So perhaps the greatest lesson King David leaves us isn't that he defeated a giant. It isn't even that he became Israel's greatest king. The greatest lesson is that no matter how heavy his burdens became, no matter how deeply he failed, and no matter how broken his heart was, David kept turning right back towards God. So today I want to say to you that if you are carrying sorrow, if you are discouraged, if you're battling grief or loneliness, remember David. The God who strengthened a shepherd boy forgave a repentant sinner, and comforted a broken king, is the very same God who is able to carry you today. So may we all learn to seek the Lord as faithfully as David did, trusting that his mercy is still new every single morning. May God bless you and comfort you and give you his peace now and forevermore.